Everybody, and welcome back to Higher Density Living. We're here for an off-the-cuff episode, and once Jason puts his headphones on, we can really get into this. So, tell me about the genesis of what you were just talking about.
Yeah. So, theory here is Law of One talks about the higher self, and we've done like 2 or 3 episodes on the higher self. And when you look at like everybody wants enlightenment to the higher self, you know, and they think that there's like there's meditation or whatever they may be. But then we've discovered through the Law of One materials that the higher self is us kind of in the future, even though, you know, it's like space-time doesn't really exist in that. Right. It's the upper 6th dimension is our higher self. Yep. And then that higher self can kind of like go back. If we, in our 3rd density, we have to understand the law of physics, but can kind of go back and show love and light to us, not go through our free will, but have that higher 6th self available for us, and that's our higher self. It's us in the future, kind of basically.
It's like a signposting mechanism. Mm-hmm. It's like laying all these little clues and like giving you tidbits of what can be. Question is, are you going to take that opportunity from what you've seen or experienced? So the dream state,
right? This is where I was getting into. Yeah,
the dream state's interesting. It is heavily influenced by the subconscious and other material that has been stored in the overall consciousness block, okay? And if you can pay attention to it, it has very interesting inputs into your life. Things that may seem strange, but have emotional or very logical connections with what you're doing in the waking realm.
So my theory on this is, and right, what you're saying is the higher self can communicate through the subconscious, of course, you know, back and forth.
That's correct.
And then if the dream state is all subconscious, then why? And there's really no space time, you know, necessary. Then why in our dream state? I think a lot. This is just a theory. I may be wrong. A lot of our dreams are our past lives or our future lives, and that's what we're dreaming out. So we're not dreaming something that could be made up. There's because to me, sleep is the most important thing that you can do. Like science has proven that. Like sleep is better than exercise. Sleep is you know, having a good night's sleep and sleeping, you know, well.
Well, that's what creation does. It's awake, it expands, then it contracts and sleeps. There's a slumber period.
So if sleep is the most important thing you do, you would think that the higher self, if there's no veil there per se, it would communicate with us at that level. You know what I mean? And maybe it's, you know, like if like an animal almost dies from a cheetah. An antelope almost dies from a cheetah. Mm-hmm. The antelope instantly shakes it off. That's part of it. Yeah. But it has to go sleep for a long period of time.
Right, because it has to essentially dissolve the stress.
The trauma and the stress and stuff that the brain experiences.
Let's think about this. Let me give an example. Everything in the physical is bound by the same laws that are in the non-physical. Just what it is.
Right.
So me, as an independent function of biological life, okay, what makes me as this independent thing of its own evolution is my ability to metabolize.
Yes.
At a biological level, I can take things in and digest them and use that as an energy so I can then continue to move forward in my evolutive state. All right? Now, if I eat a huge meal or I have to metabolize a lot, it's going to take time to break that stuff down, to digest it. Mm-hmm. So, say there are many things that are occurring in my waking state. I'm ingesting ideas, thoughts, feelings, emotions, right? And maybe it was like a very traumatic experience or one that was very high energy. What do I have to do? I have to take a lot of time to rest because my subconscious, taken from the consciousness, has to digest this information, share that back with my overall consciousness block, and then feed me back information because I've digested and learned from it to find out, here are the truths. Are you going to take these truths?
But my theory on that is even more is that during that rest period, it's tapping into that, to the higher self. That
absolutely,
because what people need, I want to make sure, and you can explain this too, but we're 3rd density beings right now going into 4th density, however millions of years that may take or how quickly it is, we don't know. But the upper 6th density, when we talk about density, it's like fog. Mm-hmm. So it's the heaviness, the weight of it. So if you're a love light, upper 6th density, that we can't even comprehend what that's like being in this density, this light, fluffy 3rd density compared to this heavy. So if I'm sending this heavy light and love while we sleep, back to you. You see what I'm saying?
It's like a heavy meal.
Yes,
Lots to digest, interesting information, right? You're metabolizing, it gives you new energy. It gives you new sustenance for you in your waking life to work with.
Yes.
But you have to pay attention to it. So let me give a little bit of just a personal example. You know that I wake up, I write my dreams down.
Right.
So there was this time I had woken up and had a dream about my wife's boss. Not in like a weird sense here, but I saw him in a meeting talking about this thing that's called the Rotary Club. You may know what it is.
Yeah. Some people, older people know.
And the Rotary Club has to go and raise funds, right? And I watched him behind a desk having this meeting about the Rotary Club, and people were bringing in donations to his desk. And it was like $10,240. And I specifically remembered it. I woke up and I wrote it down. And I said, and I looked at him and I said, it's really funny. I just had this dream the other night about your boss and the Rotary Club, and that they were doing a fundraiser and they raised, this X amount of dollars. She goes and brings it up to her boss. It was the exact dollar amount that they actually raised for the Rotary Club. So the guy breaks down in tears behind his desk because he said it was the most unreal experience he's ever had.
So future, you see, like you saw into a part of you. Of course, your sixth density higher self is not bound by the third density laws.
No.
So it would know that information.
Yeah. How could it not? It's just that was I apt enough to pay attention to it in the dream state? And maybe that moment, Jason, wasn't for me. Maybe it was for him.
Yeah, it's 100% service to others.
Maybe there was an interesting awakening moment that happened. Maybe it was just that one sliver that...
It was a catalyst.
It was a catalyst for his life in ways that I'll never know.
Yes, 100%.
But I was just so driven to share it with Amanda, and then Amanda was driven to share it with her boss. I never asked her to.
That's something that we don't, we call it serendipity, but it's something that we don't understand. And to go from third to fourth density, there has to be a percentage, of service to others. I mean, you can go service to self and then go down that road. But,
sure.
But the service to others, there's a tipping point that Raw talks about, of service to others is a lot higher than, service to self. Mm-hmm. And what we don't realize when we're looking at our higher self is going to constantly look at service to others and how we're producing love and light. Because
remember you talked about that dense fog.
And it's gonna lead us in that direction.
It's going to push us there. It's almost like there's more gravity to it.
Yes,
right? There's a richness to it. And when you talk about service to others, that's a law of squares. It becomes mathematics.
Yes.
If I come over here and help you, and now we're both happy about something, we've doubled the amount of happiness energy. Right? If you think about it in that sense.
Yes.
But if it's service to self, I'm just sucking the energy out of you and I'm pulling it into me. Well, that's not a benefit for multiple parties in their evolution.
Well, and you brought up evolution multiple times, and I want people to understand this. Whenever you're looking at evolution, it's a spiritual principle.
Yeah.
People don't understand. People take evolution as like this scientific principle, but if you look at the universe is constantly expanding, it constantly has abundance. The expansion is happening. If you stand still, you're going to lose. Because it's constantly expansion. So when our higher self knows this, and it knows we're going through this evolutionary process, whether we started out as a rock and then we went to, a monkey or a plant, a monkey, and so forth, all of those are spiritual practices of expansion and abundance.
All of them.
How do we get to a level of where Jason, as an ape, all of a sudden develops a little bit of a consciousness? You know what I mean?
That's possible.
Yeah, I'm still kind of there at that primate monkey mind stage. But that whole idea of evolution not being spiritual is so silly to me, because the more you look at it, the more spiritual it is.
Yeah,
animals are coming into consciousness. People don't realize that. So what does this look like? It's like us throwing shitloads of carbon into Shell and everybody else, these companies throwing shitloads of carbon into the atmosphere. What does the Earth do? The Earth says, okay, cool. Let's become more tropical.
Yeah, it's okay.
You're getting warmer?
What's it do?
Russia will be a tropical island.
It uses everything as a catalyst for adaptation.
Yes. So here we go. This is where I want to go. So spiritual evolution, adaptation.
Right. And so if we listen to the dream state,
yes,
and look at this energy that's being refined and sending things to us, and if we're aware of it, it gives us a catalyst which we can adapt our current life to. Really cool. And if you're lucky and you get something precognitively, which says that I'm going to see something before it happens,
yes,
all the better for you. But the real question is, are you going to act upon it?
Well, are you going to act upon? There's one thing that humans love more than anything, and I think this is our number one superpower is technology. Like whether it's fire, whether it's the plow, or whether it's, whatever, an iPhone, whatever it may be, these silly things. But people don't realize you have the highest technology that's millions and millions and millions of years advanced that you can tap into anytime you want. It's called your higher self.
Yeah, think about it. So Apple came out in the late 80s. Let's just give an example here. And they synthetically, using petrochemicals and metals, took silicon wafers and motherboards and
crystals,
monitors and crystals to build this thing called the computer. And now they've been developing that over the past 40 years. And we're like, wow, look how high tech this is. The cells in your body have been evolutively adjusting themselves and evolving, becoming more resilient for millions and millions of years. Take it a step further. A lot of the earliest functions of cellular life that hit this planet came when our early planet was getting pelted with asteroids, bringing these organisms to us. The single cellular organisms that had to learn to evolve, metabolize, change, adapt to their environment. And then things start to grow. You get flagella. Now the things have senses of movement. Now they grow legs. Now they can eat.
And that's our life.
And that's our life. But these bodies have been developed, just the body alone in the physical has been evolving for millions and millions of years. But then you have the energy inside of us, which has been around for an infinitely long period of time, refining itself, aggregating, redistributing, and energizing things to allow life to occur. And that came from the earliest origins of the universe itself, of creation itself.
Well, and it's funny what Raul talks about that is like you can tap into that fourth density energy through meditation, through your green chakra.
It's always there.
Yeah.
But we've said this on many episodes, you're always getting in your own damn way.
100%. Yeah.
All the time. With your thoughts, with your emotions, with your feelings. But we got to realize that, is the energy getting in its own way? No, it's coming to you for your own free use.
But I think it's beautiful, like when you meditate or pray, whatever you want to call it, or say affirmations, all these things. Once I've learned about this upper sixth density higher self, now I can have a conversation with my higher self, myself.
Sure.
And so I can talk to my higher self and say, hey, I want to act in love and light now. Help me through this Zoom call. Right. Help me through, because I'm kind of getting real practical here.
All good.
Help me have this conversation, this hard conversation with this relative.
Sure.
I'm having a problem in my relationship. I don't want monkey mind, ego, third density Jason to pop in. I want upper sixth density to pop in.
Sure.
So, so for me, how I've been doing it here lately is recognizing the only thing that's real is my higher self.
That's all that's real.
Nothing around other than that is not real. No, so my top affirmation here lately has been, oh, that's not real. Oh, that emotion you're experiencing? That's just monkey mind bullshit. That's not real, Jason.
No, all those things are ephemeral. They're temporary.
Yes. What's eternal?
Yeah, this body, temporary. But like I said, that energy, which has been around since day one of the existence of creation.
Yes.
Right? Of this universe itself. That's real. You can't see it, right? You can't pack it into a box, but it exists. And it allows you to exist and everything else to exist. It's the thing that defines the laws, allows the foundational stones of life to come together and create. That's what's real. So get the fucking physical thing out of the way, stop worrying about it, and focus on the energy that allows that existence, that truth, that closer to creation wavelength to come into you.
Yeah, I love Star Trek, so I want to use this example, and you can talk about this. This is funny. So, in the original Star Trek, Kirk and them would walk into the hologram area, and you can make a whatever planet they wanted to be on. They can have it look like a hologram, and it looked real. And they could have monsters, and then they could practice like they do weapons training and stuff like that. And I was thinking about that the other day, like it's the same thing in this third density. I'm in a hologram believing that my surroundings are real. These monsters are coming at me mainly based upon me believing that this reality is real. So my emotions and everything else is getting involved, creating, even though it's in holograph, because my sixth density would laugh about everything that's here. In a fun way, in a good way, because I think, like Jesus was fourth density highly evolved person. I guarantee you he was super happy all the time and laughing and joking around. You know, even on the cross, he said, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." Because he knew that they were just acting silly. So if we had that mentality about everything, you know, they're just not evolved. Like they're the next Me Too, they'll figure it out.
They don't know any better right now.
Yeah, and it's not my responsibility. Wayne Dyer, great spiritual leader, he said this, and I've been using this line too. His I think a 6 or 9 year old son kept getting in fights with these other kids at a swimming pool, and he's just laying there relaxing, tanning. You know, Wayne Dyer was, and the kid came to him and said, Granddaddy, these kids are picking on me. And he looked at him and he said, "I'm a Taoist master. There's nothing I can do for you." And then the kid would run away, you know, crying, and go out there and like come back. Granddaddy, they're really picking on me. Look, they hit me. He's like, "I'm a Taoist master. There's nothing I can do for you."
You want me to step into something?
4 times this happened. And then on the 5th time he looked and they were playing together. Now, if he would have interfered in any of those 4 times,
he would have reinforced that energy that the kid was bringing.
Yeah, see, this is where I'm going for with you.
And then life would have not been an opportunity for learning and finding out how we work together. It would have created more separation between those groups.
So this desire that we feel based off of our ego and judgment that we need to step in and be a savior to somebody, it is their catalyst, their learning lessons to go through, even to the point of death.
Yep.
And so, because people out there right now that are listening to this, because our audience keeps growing crazy, I want you to realize this. You may have a loved one or relative or somebody that you feel like you need to step in and help or save. That is not your responsibility. You're going against their free will then.
Yeah. They have created a life of many choices, and they've brought themselves to those choices. Unless that person is asking you for the help directly, and you recognize that you will help to the point where you will not interrupt their flow of free will, you will not coerce them into doing something that they haven't thought about doing under their own auspices and thought patterns, then you're helping. But you have to know when to remove yourself and allow people to flow in their choice of catalysts that they have set up.
But you know, like the Taoist master, I can't help you. It's funny, like you can think of that, but it's so true. Like we have these third density beings coming to us, crying, and we feel like we need to step in right then and there. Like they're the victim, they're helpless. They need our help right now. But by taking this approach of just having love and light for someone and allowing them to go through the struggles 4 or 5 times, and like you said, being there when they need it. It's not helping them. You know, it's like if you have a relative that's a drug addict, you don't want to give them money when they ask for it.
No,
they don't know what they're asking for. You see what I'm saying?
They're already making
their ignorance and unconsciousness.
They're already making bad decisions.
Yes.
Don't reinforce people's bad decisions.
So the best thing you can do is let them learn their lesson and provide love and light for them.
That's all you can do, is you can support them in their decision making.
Yeah.
You got to. This is not a cold way to operate. It's actually the most loving way to operate if you just consider that people need to make their own choices and be 100% responsible for them. Do not subsidize what they do. Do not come in and try and take responsibility for something that is frankly not your responsibility to take. Right? Let them learn and evolve on their own catalysts.
It's so freeing. Because you're like, why am I getting emotional about this person? They're learning. It's not for me to even get emotional about that.
Yeah, and it's not like you're an emotionless, cold sociopath. That's not what it is. You are recognizing the evolutive educational process of decision making that we are graced with being able to make here on planet Earth as human beings.
Yeah, and I've been having, even when I was driving up here, I've been having like conversations with myself. It's like, I want my higher self to talk to Alexander's higher self. That's the conversation I want to have.
I like that.
So whenever I'm having a heated conversation with somebody, here lately especially, I've been really trying to pause before, like giving myself a few minutes before to go into like a meditative state, and then be like, I need to have a higher self conversation with this. Like in our meetings with Tartle, I do that like 5 minutes before. I click on there, and I can tell when I don't do it because I'm in a hurry, and when I do it. I can tell I'm 2 different Jasons.
2 totally different things.
A lot of times I'm quiet, which is where I need to be, and then speak up when it's really important instead of feeling like I have all the answers and I need to say everything. You know what I mean?
I'll stop talking altogether. You'll watch me, one of my idiosyncratic cues is I'll take a massive deep breath through my nose.
Yeah.
You'll see it. I'll just do that. And I'm
well, I can hear it.
Yeah, you can hear it too.
Yeah, because you have nice mics on your.
Yeah, I totally stop for a second. Right. I say, and I retune everything that's going on.
Right.
Remove myself from this like emotional catalyst of thought. I'm like, that's it. Okay. Here's what we need. Right back to the structure. Let you guys flow. Let you get through it. Done.
Because your lower third density ego will try to hijack that so quickly.
Wants to do it all the time. Just wants to jump
This is real. This is real. You need to pay attention to this.
No, it's not real. It's not
just
real.
Because your emotions say it's real, it's not real. It's not the you.
No. So, like, what do you have a thought and you do something, right? When you do something, there's an emotion that comes from it. And then when you put the emotion and the thought together, you get a feeling.
Hormones and all that bullshit.
Right. And so then you have thoughts that are tied to
dopamine.
These feelings. And you have to recognize this process and the catalysts that drive these things in your brain. We got these things, like just our mind is just firing off neurons all the time. And it's just like it wants to be worked. It wants to be used. But the most difficult thing is that the amount of firing is it's scattered. It's like you're always shooting buckshot in the air. There's no targeted focus of how you're really using this very powerful calculative tool to really stop things and reflect on it. There's the internal mechanism of self-reflection and self-awareness helps you refine those neurons, right? When they fire, how they fire. It then puts you actually in control of the thing you're walking around in. You know what I mean? You can't just be like, I didn't know what's going on. My body's doing it. It's not doing its own thing. You've just allowed it and reinforced these patterns of scattershot all the time.
Yes.
The key for you, and this is a really interesting thing, is to work on doing absolutely fucking nothing. Mm-hmm. It's such a hard thing to do. Yes. People are always trying to occupy time, occupy the thought, put this here, do this there, jump in on this. Try doing absolutely nothing and concentrating on the nothing. Or
when you get that urge, say, what is my intent? What is the intent behind this?
Yeah, why do I have this urge?
Yeah, that's what I do all the time. It's like, oh, okay, I'm going to yell at Alexander and he's going to yell at me and we're going to have this third density argument and waste 45 minutes of my life.
A bunch of gorillas slapping each other.
Or I can just send you love and light and be like, next. Right. I don't even need to have the conversation. Right. That's doing nothing. You know what I mean? It's like, oh shit, I'm pissed off at this, at this. What's the intent? Why am I pissed off? Oh, I'm being fear-based. Great. Okay, well, that's my problem. You don't need to get involved in this at all.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? But in time, we always, with our emotions, we let it control, and then we have to drag, literally like a monkey, drag the other person into this, and the other person's like, what the fuck is going on?
It's easier for me to deal with the physical and person around rather than be like, why don't I just shut up and deal with myself? Yeah,
I mean, like you said, doing nothing. Do nothing and take a walk. Like, how many relationship problems if you just went outside and say, hey, I'm going to go take a 10-minute walk, and you just walk around and let this emotion just,
hard for people.
Send love and light to this person. That's been my trick here lately.
It's so difficult for people to do that.
Because the person's in your life to learn, especially in relationships is the number one thing. The universe will not give you what you want. It's only going to give you what you are.
Yeah. The universe is abundant in everything.
It doesn't care. It doesn't have, it's like, oh, you want to worry and have cancer? Okay, here's tons of worry and tons of cancer.
There you go.
You want
stress? Here you go.
What do you call that? It's agnostic.
Yeah. You want warfare? Fine, here you go.
Yeah.
You want political division? Fine, take it.
Yeah.
But you're going to have to learn from it. Mm-hmm. At some time, this level of untruth, which you have asked for, is going to pain you.
Yes.
And it's going to be so painful, it's going to come to the point where either one kills you or drives you to make a massive, drastic, epiphanal change in your life.
And those epiphanies, the reason they're so powerful, this is a theory I have on this too, it's because you're dealing with past life trauma. So when an epiphany hits you, to me, the reason it's so strong is because you may have just cured something of 1,000 meat suits.
Yeah, that you hadn't figured out.
Yes.
It's just, oh my God.
It's that spiritual dopamine hit.
Yeah, it's like, oh, now the math makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like,
but you're veiled, so you don't see that in your past lives, but you may have cured something that you've gone through 200 meat suits over and over and over again, failing that level,
And now
that game level.
you finally refine the energy and the overall consciousness block, and you're like, shit.
And it's like, oh, here we go. That next level in
That's
third
kinda
density.
nice. I'm feeling kind of lightweight today. You know what I mean? I'm just like walking around, stomping, really enjoying things. But that's what's going on. And it's so difficult for human beings to get out of our own way.
Yes, 100%. Yeah.
You know, and there's what's another metaphor? Space, it's there, right? Planets are there. But we're not traveling to them. We're in our own damn way.
Yes,
right?
yes.
We can't get to them because we're so divisive. We're so restrictive on technological sharing, and none of us are working together to figure out, well, how do we interdimensionally travel? How do we get to this other planet or solar system? You know what I mean? And we can't figure it out because we're worried about killing each other, or how much money this country's going to make or lose, or what's going on politically. We're in our own way, preventing ourselves from the evolution, preventing ourselves from exploration.
Yes, it's a big one.
Exploration's a great joy in life. And a good way to look at it, and I don't remember who said this. I think it was Faust, maybe, in one of his books. But it's not that you're never going to be able to know everything in one life. And so you should find the joy in the exploration of learning what can be learned, and be satisfied with the fact that there is still so much to be learned.
I love that. I love that. Yes.
And I'm trying to paraphrase it, and I don't know if that's the right guy. You know, my memory's limited in that sense for the explicitity, but I do my best. You know, I got to get out of my own way to remember. But this is just off the fly. But that's what it is. Be happy with the exploration. Be happy with it, and be happy watching other people explore. Don't get in their way. Don't stop that flow.
It's also, you know, like so many people will sit on Facebook groups, right or left side politically, and just sit there and waste all their day in this divisiveness, this low energy, this low vibration. You know, I saw this the other day. It was so interesting. This Dr. Zach Bush was talking about this. He goes,
Zach Bush.
Yeah, Zach Bush. He's really cool. He's a spiritual doctor. He's an MD.
I'm looking it up while you're telling me about it.
But they put these like EKG monitors on plants.
Oh yeah, I know.
And then they it's Dr. Zachary Bush is his name. And then they like yelled at the plants, and we've seen this with water and stuff like that.
It's a stimulus,
and it like stressed out the plants. The yelling. Does the plants know English? No,
but they know the energy.
It knows the energy and the vibration. So if you're wasting all your time in these low vibrational states, that's just service to self.
That's all it is.
It's low vibration, service to self, service to self, service to self. You're involved in all this, you know, scarcity mindset and this universe behind you. They didn't even figure out like the space between stuff. Like some people call it God or whatever, but like we haven't even figured out what most of the universe is made of. We don't even know what that shit is.
No, we just know that there has to be something there. We just don't know what it is.
In our illusion, this table's solid, but it's not really.
It's not actually. There's a force that holds these materials together, but there's space in between the forces.
But what's happening? It's vibrating and moving at a.
It's funny. It's vibrating and moving, but to us, it's still in solid.
Yeah.
Stupid monkeys.
And then we only know with the light spectrum and stuff, we only see like
this much,
1% of it. Yeah.
Yeah. But what about everything else?
Yeah. There's so much that we don't know and so much that we can't see. So in conclusion, because it's kind of a long episode, I think tapping into your higher self, understanding that, seeing what fourth density is about, and then because you can pull yourself into fourth density. Like, I mean, it may not in this meat suit, you may not do that, but you could strive for that.
Yeah.
And fourth density is about wisdom.
It's a really good word. Strive for it.
Yeah.
Always strive.
Yeah. That's and understanding that evolution is here for you, adapting, you know, and in those struggles that appear to be struggles, Buddhist talks about suffering. I think it's called. I have it on my phone. This is really interesting.
What was it?
This is so good. I've been studying a lot of Buddhism here lately. I've also been looking at creation state meditation. But that's another. Okay, here it is. Yeah. The dukkha.
Yeah.
It's in the Sanskrit. Yeah. It means pain, suffering, stress, or dis-ease. So this is one of the fundamental teachings of Buddhism in the sense of you're viewing it as that.
Yeah,
it's not suffering.
Just view it as a learning experience.
Yes, and I want to close on that. Anything that you're going through right now is just learning lessons.
That's all.
So an enlightened fourth density being would be like, in its wisdom and love, would be like, I need to learn from this. I want to learn. I want this to happen so that I can learn.
Right. So, stupid example. I'm climbing rock walls. They have these ones called pockets. And pockets is where you can fit maybe 2 of your fingers in it to hold your body weight up against the wall. Mm-hmm. I don't like them. And I always hurt myself doing it. And you know what I say with the pain? I don't complain about it. I don't think that it's like, oh, woe is me. It's like, oh, okay, don't do that again. That doesn't work.
Yes, it doesn't work.
Yep. And so now when I go on the wall, I avoid them completely, but that's a small, limited example of this thing. It's just like, there's a catalyst there. I'm literally looking at it. Do I interact with it? Or do I learn from it ahead of time or from my past experiences and not interact with it again? Don't fall into the same relationship traps. Don't do the same things. Don't fall into that gravity well. You know what I'm saying? Don't make those same decisions. Just learn from it. It's not pain. It's a catalyst to get you to adapt and strive for a higher evolution.
I love that.
Thank you very much, everybody.